Hey, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, whatever the time of the day it is. You're watching this, a very special show on this Military Hour. Jerry Tabatt with you once again. The couple I have with me now are Jim and Michelle Adams, and you've heard us talk many, many times about Warrior Beach Retreat and the warriors that we bring in. Well, we have an Iraqi veteran with us today, Jim, and Michelle, who is his caregiver. So we're going to talk about that, and they've got some books they want to discuss how they've helped him out. But first of all, Jim, when were you over in Iraq, and when were you injured?
I was in Iraq from April 2004, roughly March to April 2004 to March 2005, and April 2004 is when we had the big we had our big called Black Sunday, April 4, 2004. But we had some small things go on after that kind of, rolled downhill.
Now, it's been several years, but when you came back to the States, how difficult was it to come back into this environment after leaving a war zone like that with the injuries you have?
For me, it wasn't as bad, but for my brothers, my military brothers, they had it worse. I mean, I still had my times where I would, and even now, I can get mad easy.
Sure.
For nothing.
And people don't realize that there's little things that will just, because of what happened, will set you off, and it's not because you dislike anybody or anything. It's it just happens. And how do you try to control something like that, or you just let it go?
It works for different people. Like one of my brothers, he took up playing guitar. He's got a thing on Facebook called Full Battle Rattle. And go on there and you can learn how to play an instrument.
Sure.
To help with that. And then he has that. Right. He has a service dog that helps him, but he is worse off because he was actually right next to his battle buddy.
Now, what's probably been the hardest thing to adjust to after you came back from overseas? And people in the States here, they want to walk up to you and say, well, thank you for your service. That's great, but they don't understand what happened. So what was the hardest thing for you to wrap around again and get back to a semblance of normal?
A lot of it was, a lot of normal day life, even driving down the street, because over there you're looking out for IEDs or, anything that out of the ordinary. You're trying to keep your heads on a swivel all the time. Yeah. And we've had problems with like trash on the side of the road, and you don't really want to go down there because even though you get something could set you off.
Yeah, little things.
And
little
especially
things.
when we got back. Like right after we got back.
Right.
Now it's different a little bit. It's been some time, maybe about 15 years now that we've gotten back. So it's a little bit easier. Yeah. You don't really think as much, I guess. But still, we got some of them that do.
Yeah. Well, you're doing great, and again, we thank you for what you did over there and for your service to our country. Yes, but Michelle, we want to talk a little bit about the caregiver. Our young men and women come back. They get some of the things that they have earned and deserve. But the caregivers, that's like you're taking care of this man. What's it like to be a caregiver? Because your life is completely changed when he came back.
It is a little bit of a struggle because, like he said, he can get angry at times, not super angry, but kind of forget where he is. In the beginning, it was a struggle because he was ready to go back. I do find a lot of people that come back from being overseas, they're just ready to hop right back in, and you got to kind of bring them back into this world and remind them that it's not about being over there all the time. They've got to come back and regroup and get back to family.
Yeah, they have to get that new safety net. Being with, and my experience in the military too, you always feel safe with your buddies. But when you get into something that's a little bit strange and a little different, but what would you say to people out there that will look at you and say, well, that's great, I'm glad you're taking care of your husband, but that's your duty? I hear that all the time, and it kind of upsets me.
Well, just like anything, I didn't have to marry him.
Exactly.
So I knew what I was getting into, and just like no matter where you are in your marriage, you have to get past that. And communication, it's the same thing as marriage. You use the same things that you do in everyday life. And I chose it. I actually love it. You have a closer bond with your military family than you do, just like even with your best friends,
Sure.
Your military family bond is completely different. The wives, we have a very strong bond, even though we're so far apart. But we just know that we have to support our husbands, and no matter what choices they make.
And that's what's so great about this retreat, because you know that when you come in here for this week, that Jim's going to be taken care of. He's got us, we're going to take care of him. And you know that Michelle's going to be able to get out and talk with the ladies. So it's like a healing process is what it is. But it's something that you can't do by yourself. You need help. And Jim, I noticed you've got a book right there. Tell us about that book that you have.
This right here is written by one of my military friends. It's called Black Nights, Dark Days, and it is a true life story. This guy was on the rooftop of the building that they got held up in during their 8 hours of getting ambushed, and we could not get to them because every time we try, we were getting shot at and we were losing people constantly. But he wrote this book, and the gentleman that wrote it actually said if this was a coloring book, all you need is red.
Right. And that's a lot of things that the average person here that's never been connected to the military or know a couple like you at Wounded Warriors, they don't understand the things that you have gone through, and to look at you now from where you came before, it's like a miracle. And we know the good Lord's hand's on your shoulder, but these are the kind of things that help you heal too.
Right. Yeah, this gentleman's named Matthew Fisk, so I didn't mention that in the beginning, but he's a real good guy. He's done a lot for the, he actually opened up called Lancer Legacy Ranch. It's because we were the Lancers, the 2-5 Cav, and so he opened up the ranch and he runs it pretty much. So for any of us, we can go there, seek refuge or whatever we need to be.
And whatever you need to help you,
sir.
that's what we need to do. And I'm glad to see these books coming out. Michelle, you got a couple of them also.
So Jim, you probably need to say what you did in the military.
Now I was 11 Bravo infantry. I was a Bradley gunner at the time. I did in between, like halfway through, they want to put us on the ground. So they swap ground guys into the Bradley, and we went onto the ground. So we have both experiences.
So that ties into this, the movie. It's a miniseries, and the book. It was written by Martha Raddatz, which is the White House correspondent. She followed Gary Volesky, which you would see that in the movie. These were filmed, and this was filmed and played on National Geographic, 8 miniseries, 8 shows, 8 1-hour shows. What this is it's called Black Sunday. And what happened is they were there for just a couple of days. They had just gotten to Sadr City, for a couple of days, and the Iraqis knew that they had just gotten there, so all their large artillery had not made it in yet. Right. They just had foot artillery, and they were supposed to just be on like a security detail, and which this ties into that. So the ambush that he's talking about was the first major ambush of the Iraqi war. Jim was the second tour over to Iraq, and Martha Raddatz was there. She's followed him, like I said. She still has a close relationship with Gary Volesky. It's very hard to watch because it's real.
Exactly.
Very real. Yes. And all of the scenes and everything that they have that were filmed, they remade Sadr City, and it was all built in Fort Hood. And so we have a lot of family that lives over there, so when they went on base to just check it out, they said it was so real and it was very difficult.
And a lot of people hopefully will go when they watch this and check these out and check what they're all about. But let's go to something else, Jim. We have Veterans Day coming up very soon.
That's right.
A lot of people, Veterans Day to them is a day off, and if they see a service member, say thank you. What does Veterans Day mean to you?
It means a lot because, I mean, even though they want to thank me, you know, I was just doing my job. And, you know, I have 3 grandfathers, or both my grandfathers, I mean, that were in the service. My grandfather did 27.5 years in the Air Force, and my mother's dad did years in the Navy. I'm not sure about that because I never met him. He died 2 years before I was born, but you know, I missed that time with him. But you know, I used to call and thank them, or thank my grandfather anyway. You know, I can't do that anymore. He passed away last year,
but you're in the hearts of a lot of people, and you know,
I try to do what I can on that day for others.
Exactly. We understand one another because we're veterans. But Michelle, as a caregiver, Veterans Day for you is very special because of Jim being here with us right now.
Yes, it's just like maybe like Father's Day or Christmas or Valentine's. You wake up and, you know, I can just wake up and automatically thank him. It's also a time for us to remember the lives that we lost on Black Sunday, and then later on that same year is when we lost Rob's battle buddy that he was speaking of, that was part of his platoon. So that's when Jose is the young man that we lost. That's when he weighs heavy on my heart, is especially on Veterans Day.
And that is a very special day. In addition to thanking our veterans out there, you see a veteran, stop and talk with them. They're normal, just like you and I are. And all they want is someone to talk to and be accepted into society. Right. I've always said it doesn't make any difference if you have a physical injury or a mental injury. All we care about as veterans with one another is what's in your heart. And that's what we want you to realize too on this Veterans Day. All right, Jim, what's next? We got about a minute and a half to go. What do you plan on doing over the next few years now?
Right now I'm just taking it day by day. And I'm making that money.
There you go. Where are you working, by the way?
I work at Lowe's in Panama City Beach.
See that? A veteran, and, Iraqi war veteran with disabilities, working, folks. Michelle, what's next for you?
Oh, just work and family. That's what we do, and just keep taking care of each other. And I also work at Lowe's, and our company fully supports the veterans. Yeah. Fully supports the veterans.
Good deal. All right, we're almost out of time here, but again, now you can understand a little more why we have these Warrior Beach retreats, because of the veterans and the caregiver. It's all one big family. One can't work without the other one, and it's like a unit that comes together, and Jim has his problems, Michelle has her problems, but together, and with the help of you in the community out there supporting our veterans, we're going to make a better life for them. Jim, thank you, my friend.
Thank you
for your service.
Yes,
Michelle, thank you, dear. Appreciate it. And keep up the good work. He couldn't handle it without you.
Thank you.
All right, I hate to say it's time to go, but we're out of time, folks. This is Jerry Tabatt with another edition of Military Minutes. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.